Happy Founders Day, 114 years of great work and service to all mankind. I want to welcome you to Baltimore, our headquarters for our great fraternity. Our General President, Brother Ward, thank you for all of your leadership for our great fraternity, bringing us into this new day, but also a day of activism and visibility and presence and being on the ground. And that's really what Alpha is all about, as you all know. We're all leaders in our own respective fields, be it education, medicine, government, politics. But the reality is that we're all connected by this theme of brotherhood. And it's so fitting that we are here in Baltimore and giving you greetings from the Delta Lambda chapter headquartered here in Baltimore. And I'm so fortunate not only to be a councilman here in Baltimore, but also to represent Delta Lambda and the Delta Lambda House being in the 9th district that I represent. You know, it's also fitting that the colors of Baltimore City are black and gold. And you can even look at the flag of our state and see black and gold along with some other colors that we don't need to mention right now. But the reality is that, you know, this is a different year for many of us. We're here in a socially distanced fashion, but we are here representing our 7 jewels, representing Alpha, recognizing all of the work that we've done over the years. So again, I just want to thank you, welcome you to Baltimore, giving you greetings, looking forward to another year of service, another fraternal year. And thank you all for the service you're doing, not only here in Baltimore, but around the country and around the world. Thank you, brothers. Happy Founders Day.
To Brother General President Ward, to the Honorable Brother Justin Fairfax, to all of you, my brothers here assembled, and all those who are virtually joining us on this 114th anniversary celebration, I greet you in the precious name of the one who was resurrected so that we all could have the gift of everlasting life. If you'll allow me to take just a moment of personal liberty. This afternoon, as I greet you in the spirit of Advent, a spirit of great expectancy, this afternoon, I had the privilege of being on a prayer call for our brother, Raphael Warnock, who is campaigning for the United States Senate in the state of Georgia. Everyone on that call, this was a clergy leader prayer call, everyone on that call referred to him as Senator to be. In a true spirit of Advent, it was a spirit of expectancy. It blessed my spirit because not only did I optimistically think about the future, but I also thought about great leaders like our brother Edward Brooke, and thinking about the past. So here, as we come together for this 114th anniversary gathering, I pray that you will look deep inside yourself and celebrate that you are part of an organization that is timeless and that is transcendent, that has stood the test of time and that will be here forevermore. Let us go before God and thank God for the blessing of A-Phi-A. Heads are bowed, eyes are closed. Precious and perfect God, hallowed be your magnificent and your holy name. Dear God, we come before you here on December 4th, 2020, thanking you for 114 years. As we think about our past, dear God, we celebrate all that was. We're here assembled, celebrating this moment in our present. But dear God, in the spirit of Advent, we have a spirit of expectancy as we think about the future. We thank you for all of the feats and all of the deeds that have been accomplished in years past under the banner of our glorious A-Phi-A. We thank you, dear God, for the leadership, the visionary leadership that has convened this gathering this evening, for Brother Dr. Everett Blair Ward, for all of the regional vice presidents and assistant vice presidents, for all of the brothers throughout the respective districts throughout the world of Alphadom. We thank you for the precious gift of our present. But dear God, we thank you because our brighter days are ahead. We thank you, optimistically looking forward to our future. It is our prayer that we will be blessed with 114 more years, dear God, to celebrate you by serving others in communities throughout the world. So, dear God, bless us on this evening. Bless our comings, bless our goings, and allow us to continue being a shining light in communities throughout the world. These and all of the blessings now we ask in your precious and your perfect name. And let all my brothers say, amen.
Good evening. My name is Lucian Metellus, and I am the Eastern Regional Vice President of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and I have the esteemed privilege of bringing you the dedication for today. 14 years ago, approximately 287 miles from here, at a meeting at Cornell University, men decided to say yes. Men came together late at night, Brother Ward, and said, we are going to make a decision. But today I'm not here to tell you about the yes, I'm here to talk about the no. So brothers, on this day, these men made a decision to say no. They said no to racism. They said no to exclusivity, meaning that they would not look down upon the people that we serve because they took the liberty as soon as they were founded to do service for their community. They said no to mediocrity. They said no to injustice. They said no to the words of oppression. They said no to the history of enslavement. They said yes to a brighter day. They said yes to 114 years later that men of distinction would serve. They said yes to an African heritage, which was radical 114 years ago. So they said no in taking the shortcuts to righteousness. They fought forward for righteousness. So on this occasion, I want to quote Jewel Ogle, never before was it incumbent upon every member to restate loyalty and to exemplify fraternal obligation by consistent life and unimpeachable character. But these must be reinforced by a growing consciousness of the responsibilities that is Alpha Phi Alpha. It faces in the world today where if ever the problems which beset as are to be solved and a way of deliverance discovered, it must be by application of these principles upon which we are founded. It is incumbent that for the next 114 years that we set the example. Because 114 years from now, they'll be saying the name Everett Blair Ward. 114 years from now, they'll be saying the name Marco Merritt. 114 years from now, they'll be saying United States President Justin Fairfax. 114 years from now, they'll be saying Travis Nelson. They'll be saying Fred Scott. They'll be saying Jordan Philp. Be the future now. That is the occasion. That is the moment that we're here for. We are not here to only celebrate what happened 114 years ago and 287 miles away. We're here to celebrate the future because we are the light of the world.
Greetings, brothers. My name is Brother Travis Nelson, and I am your 60th Eastern Region Assistant Vice President. But today, my name doesn't matter as much versus the names that we honor of the founders who laid the foundation on which we stand. Henry Arthur Callis, Charles Henry Chapman, Eugene Kinkle Jones, George Biddle Kelly, Nathaniel Allison Murray, Robert Harold Ogle, Vertner Woodson Tandy. Now, while those names may sound a little old, they carry a regal sense amongst the brothers assembled in this room. But Brother Metellus, after I got the call from Brother Ward on giving a tribute to the Jewels, I thought, what better way to give tribute to them than to remind my brothers first of the environment they were in, a time mired by so much hate, despondency in our people, and destitution, rampant, malignant within the body of America. But I also thought about the place in which they were assembled, in the home of Annie Cora Singleton. And it brought back to me a verse from our good book in Esther, where she said, "And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this." For such a time as this. In 1906, the Jewels didn't know that they were assembled for such a time as this. They didn't understand that 114 years later, their legacy would carry us for such a time as this. And while we pay homage to them today, I would be remiss if we did not acknowledge Annie Cora Singleton, because from her womb, from the nurturing of her home, came the sons that would become the fathers, that would become, I guess, the great-grandfathers of the legacy that we carry forward today. Brother Ward, I say this because it seems as if Black women spend an entire life giving to others but themselves. And so, brothers, we acknowledge them in the same sense we acknowledge the Jewels. The Jewels didn't understand that the task that they had, the time in which it was established, was not coincidence. They didn't understand that what they were doing would carry on much longer. See, it was 7 of them for my students of numerology. They understand that that is the number of completion. See, the Bible tells us that the Lord was done with the earth and the universe in 7 days. There were some people with them who didn't believe. And Brother Ward and our brothers assembled, there's oftentimes a lot of people around us who don't believe, but they were not stopped by the limited vision of those around them. They pressed on. They did what most alpha men have understood is a creed cemented so far in our DNA that it has almost just come to be alpha-like. They took the explicit authority to act. They dared to go forward into a world that had so much sequestered and sought to bring light, sought to bring their people out from where they were to where they needed to be. See, as I was speaking to brothers over the last couple of weeks, I understood that the Jewels would not have listened to the rhetoric of those today, those who have become hopeless, those who don't see a way out, those who have begun to prescribe themselves to the rhetoric of the pettifogging, grandstanding demagogues that lead us today. No, they understood that in order to go forward, we must be able to stand. Because they said kind of in the old words of the old adage that if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. They stood on the idea of the black and old gold. They stood on the idea of developing leaders, promoting brotherhood and academic excellence, providing service and advocacy for their communities. See, Jewel Henry Arthur Callis said, "The chief significance of Alpha Phi Alpha lies in its purpose to stimulate, develop, and cement an intelligent, trained leadership in its unending fight for freedom, equality, and fraternity. Our task is endless." My brothers, in the spirit of the jewels, I dare you to be a pioneer. I charge you to be responsible with your endeavors and the impact in which it may have not just on yourself, but those around you. And I urge you to be a leader. Our 7 jewels were nothing if not leaders. They stood in a place that didn't look like them, that didn't want them, and said, we will stand up, that we can go forward even if no one will come for us. We are the ones we are waiting for. No one can come bring us out of where we are. And if we are to carry on and pay tribute actually to the jewels, then we must continue the work in which they started. Brothers, the greatest tribute that we can make to the jewels in 2020 is not just carrying on their legacy, but pushing it further, creating our own, resting not on their achievements, but pushing more forward so that our communities, so that our children, so that our posterity can in another 414 years not just acknowledge their efforts and the fruits of their labor, but ours as well. Thank you.
Good evening, brothers. We are honored today to have with us a distinguished scholar, prosecutor, statesman, family man, and as we say in Alpha, an all-around good brother. Since his days as senior class president at DeMatha Catholic High School down in Hyattsville, Maryland, serving on the Columbia Law Review, to being selected to serve as a graduation speaker for the Terry Sanford School of Public Policy when he got his master's degree at Duke University, to the State House in Richmond, Virginia. Our featured speaker today is a leader that all of Alpha and the people of the Commonwealth of Virginia is proud of. Brother Justin E. Fairfax stands head and shoulders and toe-to-toe with any elected official across the country. He made history in 2017 as the second African-American ever and the first in 30 years to be elected statewide in Virginia. As lieutenant governor, he serves as the tie-breaking vote in the Senate, which we all know is important. One of his proudest accomplishments was when he cast 4 crucial votes, breaking ties to ensure that the Medicaid expansion passed the Senate, expanding healthcare access to over 400,000 Virginians. As an advocate for doing what's right, when asked to adjourn the Senate in honor of Confederate General Stonewall Jackson, he politely declined. And instead, he peacefully protested and sat quietly on a bench, thinking about the history of his family and how his great-great-great-grandfather was freed from slavery by Lord Thomas Fairfax in 1798. As the lieutenant governor, he's a partner with Governor Northam and provides valued counsel to the governor on all issues, including healthcare, transportation, protecting the environment, economic security and opportunity, where they added $4 million to the Housing Trust Fund, allowing Virginia to help communities to better invest affordable housing in its communities. With an additional funding by the General Assembly, that total fund increased to $9.5 million. In education, where funding has been increased for K-12 education by more than $350 million and provided a 3% pay increase for state-supported teachers and support staff, the largest one-time pay raise in 15 years in the state of Virginia. To criminal and juvenile justice reform, where he is proud of his role in dismantling the school-to-prison pipeline that has put money into community programs, services, and evidence-based research that has reduced the number of incarcerated youth by more than half the number when he first took office. To several other issues in the state, Brother Justin E. Fairfax provides extreme valued counsel to the governor. That's his role as a leader. Brother Fairfax has been recognized as one of the top young attorneys in the nation and a rising star in American politics. Not so long ago, at the tender age of 34, some of us remember that, he was awarded the National Bar Association's Nation's Best Advocate Award, and we are so proud of him for that. As a former assistant U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia in the Major Crimes and Narcotics Unit of the Alexandria Division, the deputy coordinator of the Northern Virginia Human Trafficking Task Force, he has proven that his steadfast leadership can lead to results that kept dangerous persons off the streets of Virginia. Brother Fairfax's leadership led him to serve 3-year terms on the Duke University Board of Trustees and the Board of Visitors of Duke University's Terry Sanford School of Public Policy. He was initiated into the Kappa Omicron chapter, seated at Duke University in Durham, North Carolina, and is currently active in the Xi Alpha Lambda chapter in Northern Virginia. Of all this, accolades and accomplishments and achievements, he is a family man first. He is married to his lovely wife, Dr. Serena Fairfax, and they have 2 beautiful children. My brothers of Alpha, please welcome the Lieutenant Governor and future Governor of the Commonwealth of the State of Virginia, Brother Justin E. Fairfax.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, please. Thank you, brothers. Thank you so much, Brother Jenkins, for that tremendously warm and generous introduction. I thank you for your leadership as Chief of Staff to our extraordinary General President. And can we give you a round of applause for all that you do to support this incredible fraternity? We thank you, Brother Jenkins. Good evening, brothers. I am so deeply honored and excited to be here with you on this auspicious occasion. I am grateful for the opportunity for us to gather safely in a social distance fashion, in a spirit of brotherhood here in Baltimore, Maryland. And I thank our brother council member for his work in this tremendous city and for welcoming us here as we all pilgrimage to the home of our incredible and illustrious fraternity. I want to also welcome and thank all of our extraordinary brothers from literally all around the world who have tuned in, who are watching with us in fellowship and in brotherhood in the Americas, in Asia, in Europe, in the Caribbean, and other parts of our globe. We know that Alpha has a reach that knows no boundaries, and the sun never sets on the impact of the brotherhood of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I also am deeply grateful to every single one of you for your tremendous friendship, for your support, for all that you've done for me and my family to allow us to serve in the Commonwealth of Virginia as the 41st Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. You all believed, you all had faith, you all supported well before so many others did. And you had the vision that is tantamount to the vision of our jewels and what is possible when we pursue manly deeds, scholarship, love for all mankind. And you knew what was possible, not just in Virginia, but around our nation. And it is now our time, it's our moment in history to lift everyone up to the values and to the light of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I am excited in this moment. I know that for all of the many challenges that we all face in this COVID-19 pandemic, which has presented a triple crisis of an economic crisis, a healthcare crisis, and a crisis that has exacerbated racial oppression and racial injustice and disparities in our nation. I know that even in that time and in that moment, it is the spirit of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, what it embodies, the impact of our brotherhood that sees those challenges as opportunities to take us in a much different direction and to a much higher plane, much like our seven jewels did in a deep, dark winter in December of 1906. And we have leadership that traces back 114 years to that time, extraordinary men who, in the wake of so many challenges, still saw fit to make sure that we were lifting our heads up to our highest values and who we could be. And you can draw a straight line from the extraordinary leadership of those jewels and all those in support to our incredible leadership today in this pivotal moment in history. And I want to begin by thanking in a deep and a heartfelt manner a man who is not only the illustrious General President of our fraternity, not only one of the great leaders in our nation and internationally, not only someone who has dedicated his entire life to lifting up people first in his beautiful native state of North Carolina, spreading his impact around this country, traveling around the globe to make sure that no one was left behind, that no one was left out, that you and your future were not left to the whims of the color of your skin or the zip code that you were born in, but instead that you had hope, that you had faith. And this is a man who I have known now more than half of my own life. Because when I pledged 23 years ago in the spring of 1997 in Kappa Omicron at Duke University, this extraordinary man was there to advise our chapter, to welcome us to the other side of the burning sands, to prepare us for what lay next as leaders in this fraternity and in our country. And so Brother Dr. Everett Ward is a man who led this fraternity for the last 3 years with distinction, who took us to higher heights that we thought maybe not even imaginable in those 3 years of his term. He put a lifetime of his heart, of his brilliance, of his effort, and of his work into leading our incredible organization, much like he had done at his native St. Augustine. He's the 11th president of that incredible university, only the third person to be an alum of that institution to then go on to lead it. This is a man who was born with the preternatural skills to lead, but instead he decided to put in the hard work to make sure that he would be the best he could be, and then therefore lift us all up to the same. And so in this moment, I would like for everyone to please, if you could stand and congratulate and welcome our 31st General President, Everett B. Ward. Thank you so much, Dr. Ward, for your leadership. In a few short weeks, he will hand over the reins of this incredible institution, and we will not be losing an extraordinary general president. We'll be gaining an extraordinary emeritus general president. And we have had other extraordinary leaders of this fraternity who have followed in that line. I am proud of the work of Brother Mark Tillman, the immediate past president of this great institution. I also take particular pride as the Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia and a resident of Virginia in our president-elect of this great fraternity. Brother Dr. Willis Lonser III, a Richmond, Virginia resident and native, will follow in these great footsteps of Dr. Ward and take us to even higher heights. I also want to make it a point to recognize my brother, Harry E. Johnson Sr., with whom I began this year at the MLK Memorial in Washington, D.C., at the wreath-laying ceremony for our brother, Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Of course, it was this fraternity. It was the leaders. It was Harry. It was so many others in this organization who made that stunning memorial possible. And it sits now as a beacon of hope in the tidal basin, on the Mall, in the capital of the greatest nation in the world, to celebrate the legacy of a man who called this his brotherhood. And so that is the power that we have in Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. But that extraordinary leadership is at every level of this great organization. And again, as a proud Virginian, I am deeply honored to have today here Brother Fred Scott, who is the district director for Virginia and leads our chapters throughout the Commonwealth with such grace, eloquence, and brilliance. And my own chapter, Xi Alpha Lambda, because we know that the work that is done in our local college and graduate chapters is what powers our brotherhood and our fraternity to have the impact that we all want to see in our communities. And so Xi Alpha Lambda and President Brother Jason Calhoun, I'm grateful for that leadership as well. But again, the leadership goes back 114 years to 7 extraordinary men whom we all call affectionately and reverentially the Jewels. Henry Arthur Callis, Charles Henry Chapman, Eugene Kinkle Jones, George Biddle Kelly, Nathaniel Allison Murray, Robert Harold Ogle, and Vertner Woodson Tandy. These are men who were both of their time, but also ahead of their time. The Jewels deeply understood the importance and the impact of brotherhood. They knew that it was something that they themselves needed, and thus began the formation of our extraordinary fraternity. They knew that brotherhood first uplifted the individual and transformed him, and then led to broader transformation and uplift in our communities. The history of our fraternity, like the history of so many great institutions, is both a mirror and a window. I heard earlier about numerology and the impact of it, and I think there is significance in this moment of our reflections in that mirror of history of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. For if you look at our 114 years in the mirror of history, it turns into 411, as in 411 East State Street, the home of Archie and Annie Singleton, the mother of this fraternity, who gave a home and a roof to a vision and a brotherhood that has blossomed today around the world. And when we do so on this day, on today, 12/4, and we put that in the mirror of history, it leads us to 4/21, North Albany Street, which is the first home of Edward and Lula Newton of this great fraternity. And so we look into that mirror, but we also look into that window. And the scenes that we would have seen in those two great houses, those two birthplaces of our illustrious fraternity, would have been ones like we see here today, of brotherhood, of support, of challenging one another to be our absolute best, of lifting each other up in those moments when that was needed, and ensuring that everyone was a part of the grand story and the grand journey that we are on together. We would have seen the burgeoning bonds of an enduring brotherhood, a social study club that then became a literary club, and ultimately a world-class and a world-changing fraternity. For if you had peered through those windows anytime in 1905 or in 1906, you might be inspired to say that goodwill is the monarch of this house, that men unacquainted enter, shake hands, exchange greetings, and depart friends. Cordiality exists among all who abide within. You might say that I am the imminent expression of friendship. The character and temperament change under my dominant power, that lives once touched by me become tuned and are therefore amiable, kindly, and fraternal. You might conclude your observation by saying that, in fact, I am the college of friendship, the university of brotherly love, the school for the better making of men, that I am Alpha Phi Alpha. But those warm bonds of brotherhood were birthed in the harsh cold of December in Ithaca, New York, and of racial oppression in America. We, the Brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, have been battle tested in the trials of winter since our very beginning. We as Alphas know that winter begins on one of 2 days out of the year. If you follow the meteorological calendar, it begins on December the 1st. However, if you follow the astronomical designation, it begins on December the 21st, winter solstice, the shortest day of the year. Whichever of those 2 days marks winter, if it is December 1st, you would go back in time and you would say that when we were formed and born on December the 4th, that winter is already here. And yet, if you follow that December 21st is the beginning of winter, and you are an avid fan of the Game of Thrones, you would say that winter is coming. Winter is a season of challenge, of scarcity, of struggle, and of darkness. The days are short and the nights are long. That is what our fraternity was born in, and that is what it is to thrive through in 114 years. And so it should be no surprise and quite fitting that you will hear an Alpha man say in this season, out of the night that covers me, black is the pit from pole to pole. I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find us all unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. We are the captains of our souls. But the harsh winter was not the only challenge that was presented to the Jewels in 1906. Racial discrimination added to the chill and froze the Jewels out of social, educational, and economic opportunities. It was a forecast and a landscape of despair. But going back to the MLK Memorial and the words of our great brother in his 1963 I Have a Dream speech, out of a mountain of despair, a stone of hope. A stone of hope like a jewel, like 7 of them. And the impact formed in that brotherhood by the Jewels has multiplied so many times over and changed the course of history in our world. 290,000 men have crossed the burning sands of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated in our history. 730 active chapters of this illustrious fraternity, all dotting this globe. The largest predominantly African-American intercollegiate fraternity in the United States and the 10th largest overall, and impactful leaders at every conceivable level in our nation and across our world. The list of famous alpha men is too long for us to ever complete, but we know the names that ring in our ears and in our hearts and in our minds of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Brother Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, Brother Charles Hamilton Houston, Thurgood Marshall, first African-American Supreme Court Justice, Brother Jesse Owens, and even those brothers whose physical bodies we lost in this year, but whose spirits we never will. Mayor David Dinkins, Brother Reverend Joseph Lowry, Brother Reverend C.T. Vivian. But their legacy lives in each one of us. And there are many prominent alpha men today who carry that mantle of those great alphas in history. We have so many examples, and we see Brother Robert F. Smith lifting up entire generations to ensure equal access to education and economic opportunity. We see Brother Roland S. Martin changing the landscape of media around this country to educate, to entertain, and to empower. We see in politics so many brothers who have stepped up to carry this mantle of leadership forward, including my favorite Congressman, Bobby Scott from Virginia, the dean of our delegation, the chairman of the Education and Workforce Committee, who is making sure that the American economy works for every single one of us, and that those who've been left out the scope of opportunity for the past 400 years now are brought within the promise of our nation. That list, too, is too long to ever complete. And yet we know that the impact of brotherhood, the impact of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is most and best felt by the work of every single one of us. Each one of these extraordinary alpha men around this country and around the world carries out our mission to serve all of mankind and to lift everyone up to the light of Alpha. We do so through our national programs. A voteless people is a hopeless people. And we don't do hopeless at Alpha Phi Alpha. We do go to college after you've gone to high school. And so when you go to high school and go to college, that's not where you stop when you are touched by the light of Alpha. My Brother's Keeper and Project Alpha, these are so many of our national programs that have exposed and changed the lives of those who will forever be changed because an alpha man crossed the burning sands. This is the work that we each carry on every single day in our corner of the universe. We deal in special initiatives with the Big Brothers and the Big Sisters, with the Boy Scouts of America, with the March of Dimes, with the Peace Corps, Leadership Development Institute, the World Policy Council, College Life to Corporate Life. Alpha men in every facet of possibility make it so that everyone can enjoy the promise of our nation and of freedom and of prosperity and of opportunity. And our foundational work in education and with jewels and charitable work and with our buildings, we ensure that there is a strong foundation for the next 114 years for those who come after us. Alphas do, alphas care, alphas lead, and alphas have impact. But today, in 2020, it is winter again in so many respects for African American men in the United States of America and around the globe. However, as we have demonstrated, we stand prepared and equipped to succeed against all the odds that we face. That I serve as Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia is a testament to that history, to that faith, and to that journey that we are all on together. As you heard earlier, there is a connection between my family and myself to the Commonwealth of Virginia that I didn't learn about until the week of my inauguration. Many of you have heard about Fairfax County in Virginia. The week of inauguration, they discovered in the old Fairfax County Courthouse a deed of manumission, which is a freedom document that had freed my great-great-great-grandfather, Simon Fairfax, from slavery in Fairfax County, Virginia, on June the 5th in the year 1798. He was freed by a man named Thomas Fairfax, who was the 9th Lord Fairfax from the United Kingdom, for whom the entire county and city of Fairfax, Virginia are named. My father got a copy of that document 2 days before our inauguration. He gave a copy of it to me, and I saw it for the very first time in my life, 20 minutes before I walked out the steps of the Capitol on Inauguration Day to take the oath of office as the 41st Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. I had a copy of that document in my breast pocket as I raised my right hand to swear that oath. And so 220 years later, Simon Fairfax's great-great-great-grandson was being sworn in as the #2 in command of the very same state where he had been enslaved. We serve a very mighty God, and we are on a very special journey together. And so that is what the light and the hope represented by Alpha Fraternity Incorporated makes possible, our collective journey. We all have different versions of that exact same story. Those who have come before us and sacrificed have given us spiritual wealth and abundance to allow us to deal with all the challenges that we face on our own individual journeys. And today, African-American men in particular face issues around mass incarceration, wealth disparities, gaps in health delivery and outcomes, access to capital, a broken criminal justice system, police brutality, and societal injustice. But what we know, and what gives us hope, even in this winter of 2020, is that the wildly successful grand experiment of these 7 jewels confirms that brotherhood mixed with hard work and talent is a recipe for our collective success. That the impact of brotherhood is its ability to allow us all to be stronger individually and to come together collectively to change the course of history and the conditions in our world. So let us continue to grow our ranks as alpha men, grow our brotherhood so that we can continue that long march onward and upward together. Let us use our voices and our talents, our resources to advocate for those who are in need of leadership, who are in need of opportunity, those people on the margins and on the brink who need just one little stone of hope. Alpha brothers, I say to you, winter is coming and we are prepared. We were forged in the icy cold of December the 4th, 1906. There is not a chill that could stop our movement. There is not a frozen pond that we cannot cross. There is not an ice cold obstacle that would stop us in our tracks. We have taken the mantle of those who thrive in the harshest conditions, and we have taken that mantle and taken it into every season and given hope to others who want and need our leadership as alpha men. And so 114 years later, the light of alpha shines brighter than ever. And that light of alpha is each one of you. I pray that you continue to shine bright. I pray that you join in the collective brotherhood so that our impact creates a brightness that will pierce through any darkness that we experience in this moment or in any future moment. We are ready. We are prepared. Go forward. God bless you all. Thank you very much. I appreciate it very much. God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Brothers, let us give our brother Lieutenant Governor Justice Fairfax a round of applause for such a major address. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. The winter is coming and we are ready. Thank you, Brother Fairfax. Brothers, it's indeed an honor to be with you as we celebrate the 114th anniversary of the founding of our great fraternity. At this time, I have a presentation. Governor Fairfax, if you will join me at the podium, please. Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Presidential citation honoring Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Brother Justin E. Fairfax. Whereas Brother Justin Edward Fairfax was initiated into the Kappa Omicron chapter on the 19th day of April 1997, and is a current member of Xi Alpha Lambda chapter seated in Prince William County, Virginia. Whereas Brother Fairfax's history of academic success can be traced back to his grade school days, where he graduated from Dumoth Catholic High School in Hyattsville, Maryland, where he was also the senior class president. Thereafter, Brother Fairfax took his talented mind to Duke University in Durham, North Carolina, where he earned a degree in public policy in 2000 before receiving his Juris Doctorate degree from Columbia School of Law in New York, where he was also a member of the Columbia Law Review. Therefore, be it resolved that the Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Brother Justice Edward Fairfax, be honored for his continuous support of the efforts to uplift our communities, our nation, and our fraternity. It is because of all of this and more, by the authority vested in me by the Constitution and bylaws of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, that I hereby issue this presidential citation in recognition for the service and work of Virginia Lieutenant Governor Brother Justice Edward Fairfax through his accomplishment and through his achievement to the objectives, ideals, and missions of our dear fraternity. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 114th day of anniversary on December 4th in the year of our Lord, 2020. Everett B. Ward, General President. It is my honor beyond measure to bestow the presidential citation upon the Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, our brother beloved, Justice Edward Fairfax.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right. Oh, yes, of course, brother. You're my brother.
Yes.
All right. Just a moment. Brother Fairfax, we know that you should have displayed proudly that Brother Justice E. Fairfax, Esquire, Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, served as the keynote speaker for the first virtual Founders Day observance of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated on December 4th, 2020. Brothers, this shall hang properly. Let's recognize brother. Yes, sir. Oh, yes. You know, in the House of Alpha, we honor our leaders because they give so much. And we want you to have, Brother Fairfax, you exemplified without a doubt that this is a man who understands and knows our history well. But we want you to have the latest edition of the history of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity. The first edition, of course, was written by Brother Charles H. Wesley. But now we have for you the latest edition written by our historian, Brother Dr. Robert L. Harris, Jr. So we are passing these along for you to have as you read at leisure.
Yes.
All right. And somewhere I read that a voteless people is a hopeless people. And because of your leadership and your commitment to voter engagement and voter mobilization, we wanted you to have something very special as you travel around the great state of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and you travel around the world, and it is a polo shirt that says, every voter, every election. First of all, we vote. So, brother, this is for you to travel and have that as you move around. Isn't that nice, brothers? First of all, we vote. You know you're welcome. God bless you, brother. You too. All right. Brothers, let's give the Lieutenant Governor another round of applause as he I have one other major announcement, brothers, and for our brothers who are viewing with us around the world via technology and the internet. I'd like for Brother Ray Hawkins Jr. to please stand. He's in the audience. And also Brother Jordan Phillips, he's in the audience. This is the MAC District Director and the MAC Assistant District Director. But before you give them a round of applause, I want you to hear the announcement. And Brother Metellus, I'd like for you and Brother Nelson to also stand as we make this announcement. It is the first time it is being read publicly. Effective immediately, our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., passed a ceremonial resolution naming December 4th, 2020 as Alpha Phi Alpha Day. The MAC Civic and Political Engagement Committee, in collaboration with the 6 chapters of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, located in the Washington, D.C. area, worked tirelessly to bring this accomplishment to light for all of our brothers on Founders Day of this year. The purpose of the resolution is to recognize and honor our fraternity as an organization that provided voice and vision to the people of Washington, D.C. And it is my understanding that this will be in the nation's capital from now on December the 4th, shall be Alpha Phi Alpha Day. Give our brothers a round of applause. Hear, hear. Thank you so much, my brothers, for your leadership. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Brothers, as we close, I would also like to thank all of our program participants, our brothers who were with us today for your contribution. But there are 2 people that I would like to acknowledge with special appreciation. First, I know he's not here, but Brother Reverend Timothy McFadden, who is our soloist, our tenor who was soloist and was with us today, was with us providing music. But then there's another scholar here, and he is here. The brother, Dr. Marco K. Merrick, who is the pianist. Brother, stand up, brother, and be recognized. I also want you to understand that we have a hardworking brother. He works so hard, people don't understand that he's doing this as a volunteer. He is truly an engineer by training and profession who works for NASA. But Brother Van Strickland does an outstanding job. Brother Strickland, please stand and be recognized. Brother Strickland planned this entire event. We appreciate all that he does. Our Lieutenant Governor so eloquently reminded us that in the winter months, that most people find comfort to stay in and find darkness a place of solitude. But as Alpha men, we never find comfort in what average people do. And so when we were told by the management of this great hotel that music could not be performed in this location because of COVID-19, one call was made, and the call was made to Brother Dr. Merrick. And you see what happened. The music was provided, but he's got a real surprise for you coming. But you see, alphas don't take ordinary decisions. We take what most people think is ordinary and we make them extraordinary because we are Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity. So brothers, thank you so much for being here today. For our brothers who are with us worldwide, I know the chapters in Africa have made a special effort. I know our brothers in the Caribbean and in Germany and in Japan and all over the world. Thank you for being here. For our Legion of Alpha brothers, happy Founders Day. This is the greatest fraternity in the world because we are, first of all, servants of all, and we shall transcend all. And with that, thank you. God bless each and every one of you. Continue to have a wonderful celebration for the 114th anniversary founding of our great fraternity. And now we will have the benediction, which will be given by Brother J. Augustine, our national chaplain, followed by the presentation of the fraternity hymn. For those brothers who are with us via virtual technology, we ask that when you hear the singing or hear the music of our fraternity hymn, that wherever you are, that you stand in reverence to our legacy and let us reflectively listen to the words and the music of our hymn. And remember that we are Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Brother Augustine.
My brothers, let us once again go before our God. Heads are now bowed, eyes are now closed. Precious God, we thank you as we pause and reflect on 114 years. We thank you, dear God, for all that our eyes have seen, all that our ears have heard, and all, dear God, that our hearts have felt. We thank you, dear God, as we pause and we think about the past. We thank you, dear God, as we pause and we celebrate the present. But we thank you, dear God, as we think about the future, because winter is coming and we do our best work when it's cold outside. So bless us, dear God, as we leave this place, but never from your precious and your holy presence. These and all of the blessings now we ask in your matchless and marvelous name. And let all Alpha brothers say, amen.